here. Come on. And I think we are live now.
Well, shit diggity. I thought that we were going. I just done this whole big speech. We just talked about all this cool shit. We shared some life stories. We hugged it out. I think I cried a little bit. Now we're going to start. Sorry, it all happened off screen. That's Sayo, other known as Ree, and I'm Quality House sometimes. Today I'm Quality House. I don't know what I'll be tomorrow. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Exotic Cast.
Yep. Is this episode 9?
I
Or
don't
wait,
know.
no, it looks like it's episode 8. Yeah, I'll figure it out later. I don't need to title it till afterwards.
Don't worry, the title doesn't even matter, right? Has the title ever gotten anyone attention on YouTube?
Okay, so today our topic is movies, and we've covered movies in part of a previous cast, but today is just dedicated. Well, like the first, like the main topic is movies, as opposed to last time it was just kind of all over the place. When we did something with movies, today is just movies, and first we'll start with qualities movies. I'll know which one you want to talk about first.
Oh god. It's thing. It's not actually Jurassic Park.
Dino
Jurassic
Island?
Games.
Oh, Jurassic
Yes,
Games?
that's the name of it. My new ironic favorite movie. Not a good movie, in my opinion. But it also is a good movie, in my opinion. It's one of those special movies that is so bad it's actually good.
Yes,
Whenever you're ready, I
I
can
had
talk
the
about it.
I have the poster up right now or whatever. It says win the games, win your freedom. Let's see. And yeah, you want to explain
Yeah.
what this is?
Oh gosh. Okay. So, it's kind of got. No, it seems to have like scary movie quality, like graphics and like effects and all that stuff. Um, like kinda okay acting. Like, I mean, they're definitely aware they're in a movie, but they're doing a good job anyways. Like sometimes they nail their parts, and then sometimes they nail them so well it just doesn't even like fit the screen right. It's like this guy just got thrown into the Jurassic games and somehow stumbled onto a movie set somehow. Like, or like, oh my gosh. So basically, I think there's like 10 people who are like convicted felons, and they're put into a VR game, and the whole world can see it. It's kind of like a survival TV show, and they try to survive in what would be Jurassic Park. Like the dinosaurs are chasing after them, all that good shit. However, the show is controlling it, and if they lose, they die. If they win, they gain their freedom. Um, you know how those survivor shows go, so people will get, you know, they get taken off the show, and you know something happens, or they get disqualified or something. In this, you get disqualified, you die, and that's it. It's like your last chance for freedom or death. Um, cool premise, but my god, this movie, like, its directing is all over the place. The characters, like, hard like, sometimes they know what they're doing, like I said, like, there's some really good acting. Like, sometimes the lines just don't make sense. The relationships jump around a lot, and it's just this beautiful mess. It's just so much fun. Um, don't wanna spoil too much of it, but I will spoil one scene that was so good. I just remembered, it's stuck in my head now. Uh, this guy who
Hello?
he's like the kung fu guy, and he knows like all these special fighting techniques and everything, and he's definitely not Asian, trust me. um he's like surrounded by velociraptors, and he's doing the thing that they did in Jurassic World, but instead he's got these chains, and it's like, oh shit, it's this kung fu master. He's gonna take on these velociraptors. He's gonna have this really cool scene. Everything badass is gonna happen. And then like I think he ends up doing this weird chain spin, and then like he ends up bashing himself in the face with the chains, and then the velociraptors just jump on him and eat him. Like, it's the most anticlimactic thing ever.
My goodness.
It sucks so much that it's hilarious. One of those that you're like screaming inside, but you can't stop laughing.
Yeah.
Just laughing through the tears.
So when you said scary movie, do you mean like you said like the quality was like scary movie quality type of
Yeah, like
like the like the
well,
scary
you know
movie
how the
series?
yeah, like
Okay.
the old scary movies and like disaster movie where like characters just kind of given a bit and then they go with that bit for a little while, and then they might switch over to a different character. And the acting might not be perfect, but it's how they did it that was funny,
Yeah.
Like in Scary Movie, they knew they were in a spoof movie, so it wasn't all about trying to give like the perfect performance, just trying to be funny. In this movie, like people were definitely giving it their all, but good lord, this movie is so freaking lost on what it's supposed to be doing or what message it's trying to send. So it's just freaking hilarious.
Mm.
The premise is hilarious too.
Yeah, it sounds pretty great. There are a lot of these. I've I never noticed like there's just so many movies that are just like okay, uh basically like they find an excuse to put a bunch of people in in some
hmm
place and then it's live or die.
Yeah, man, it's like Amazon, and I don't know about Netflix. I'm sure they're the same way, but like Amazon is a gold mine of just awful B-roll movies that they're maybe like 2 or 3 stars at the most, and the only reason that they're 2 or 3 stars is because they're so hilariously bad that they're worth watching again.
Yeah, Amazon
I
Prime,
definitely suggest you watch
Amazon's
a few of
full of
them.
so much. Like Amazon is kind of hot garbage when it comes to like content. Like it's they've either got like super huge critically acclaimed stuff or it's like not even close to like
Yeah,
that quality. They have like no movies.
well, that I don't know, because on one side, I want to agree with you because like they got The Conjuring, they got 13 Hours, and they got all these movies that are like really awesome and fun to watch. And then of course they also got all the B-roll movies that I told you about. They got a couple movies that are just straight up frustrating. Um, but lost my train of thought. um, I do have a couple that are like in between, not like super good or super bad, and they're mostly non-English movies. Like there's a lot of really good Korean movies there that are like they're not super gripping or super, intense or anything. They're just good to watch if you're bored and you have nothing else to do. But
Yeah.
it's so strange. Oh, go ahead. Oh, were you gonna say something?
No?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something.
Oh, no.
Um,
That's just.
no, but like watching a movie that's not in English and like a German movie or like a Korean movie or something, like it kind of it forces you to like pay attention to the acting and to what's going on in the movie and like all that good stuff because you're either forced to watch dialogue the whole time, like the subtitles, or you have to, like just watch everything they're doing, like all their movements, their acting, how they react to one another, how they react to a situation, and like it just makes the movie like a totally different movie. Even a bad movie just suddenly becomes a little bit better because you have to actually focus on what the actors are doing. You know, if the acting's shitty though, like the whole movie's shitty. But with those Korean movies and the like Chinese movies or Russian movies or whatever, it's always so awesome to watch those.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't. Uh, I'm not sure. I haven't. I think the only foreign movie I've watched without uh a dub would be the original Godzilla.
Yeah.
I
Um.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I probably there's probably a lot of stuff out there I'd like. It's just I don't know. I don't like find a lot like most of the movies I end up watching are because someone like someone recommended it to me, like a friend recommended it to me, or someone did like a quick like review on YouTube that I watch. So like they
Yeah.
are for the most part English movies.
Mm-hmm. That's how I was. And then like one day Amazon suggested I don't even remember what it was. It was actually a really good movie. Um but it was in Korean and I was like, Amazon, I barely speak English, so what do you want me to do with this? And yeah, I ended up watching it anyways, like in the background while playing a video game. Like I think halfway through the movie, I ended up like turning off the video game and just watching the movie because it was actually interesting to watch. And I'm like put the pieces together without reading or like knowing what the characters are saying exactly.
Yeah. Uh do you want to move on to the next movie?
Go ahead, man.
Okay.
Just kind of commenting on whatever you say.
Yeah, Dinosaur Island.
Dinosaur Island. Um, I know I watched that one. Wait, no, that's the one that I stopped like 20 minutes in. I don't even remember why I stopped. I just didn't like it. Um, God, that one is so forgettable. I sent that one to you at first because I thought that was the movie that I had watched that I really liked. And it
Ah,
turns out it was the one that I actually didn't like at all. Woo, we got dinosaurs. What you think about that? You'll fucking spend money, won't you? Or freaking spend money, excuse me.
hmm.
It's like, no, I mean, your dinosaur is cool. It looks a bit like a freaking rooster, but I mean, I'm not just gonna throw you money just because you got a dinosaur on the screen.
So what was the story of the movie?
Uh, mm, just going off of the description, if I remember correctly, it was like almost a copy print of the original Jurassic Park. A bunch of people were on a plane and they end up like crashing on an island, and it's got dinosaurs on it, unbelievably. And then that's pretty much how it happens. They just survive. And it's like I've literally already seen this before. So I turned it off. Like I think it still says 69 minutes left in the movie on Amazon.
Nice.
And there it will stay.
For the meme.
The what?
For the meme. 69 minutes left.
For the Yes, I was sure to stop it right there at that point in time because I knew at one point it would serve me.
Ah. Yeah, based on the poster, if you're looking at it, I put it in the chat, in the Discord. It looks like I don't know. It looks like they
T-Rex
just
has
plopped.
become a furry.
Yeah, well, the T-Rex, that's one thing, but like the two human characters just look like they were kind of like just green screened right there, and that was it.
I mean, it looks like they just came out of a cave, and T-Rex. Jesus, that T-Rex looks so weird. Like graphically, it doesn't look bad. I mean, you're very obviously looking at a 3D model, but I mean, Jesus, look at that thing. It's like there's long ass fur sticking out and everything, and he's 10 different colors, which according to historians, that's actually accurate. But come on, look at that thing. He's got like
Right,
weird,
and they have normal
tiny,
looking
beady eyes.
They have like normal looking stegosauruses in the background.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they blew all their budget on the freaking T-Rex, and they're like, we'll just copy paste some freaking stegosauruses from Paint or something.
Yeah. And that whatever that little thing is in the front, that little blue thing.
Oh, that's your mascot. You know, like in freaking what was it? Ice Age the movie, when it's got that little rat thingy that's looking after or trying to get the acorn.
Oh, Scrat.
It's your little mascot. Yeah,
I think
Scrat.
as Ice Age movies went on, I only watched I think I only watched the first two. I know I've seen the first one a lot. It's a great movie. But just the like for a DreamWorks movie.
Yeah.
It's a
well, no, I mean the first one's great.
First one is a great movie. I'm saying like as it goes on, it was like the titles seemed like just so uninteresting even.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like the only reason anyone would have even gone back was to just see if Scrat ever got a nut. I'm not here to watch the main plot.
Just trying to get
We're
a
just
nut?
here. It's truly
don't
the
take
quest
that out
of
of context,
humanity.
all right? I mean, I like almonds as much as the next person, so don't take that out of context. But yeah, like the Ice Age movies, the first one was a hit. The second one, it's still pretty good.
I never saw past the
big
second
meltdown.
I
think that
it might have
that was
been.
a meltdown one.
I think so.
Then the third one was where they were just like, "Give us money," and I don't even remember what that one was all about.
There's like four.
If I remember correctly,
there's like a fourth.
Was there 4?
Yeah, there might have even been a 5th.
The fuck? You gotta make 5 movies about like. Not everything has to be a series.
Yeah, and it's like the first movie like didn't even set up for any type of sequel. Like it was a pretty open and shut story.
I mean, granted, if one of my stories ever like got to the point that somebody wanted to make a movie out of it, and then they were like, "Hey, we want to make a sequel out of this because everybody wants it," I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? Do what you want. I got my story out, so y'all just do whatever you want with the second one. Everyone's gonna hate it anyways."
Yeah. Yeah, there's
except for Terminator 2.
I still have to see that. There are a lot of movies I have to see. It's on my watch list. I have a long watch list.
Yeah, I kind of gave up on my watch list. Or I lost it. I don't remember.
Okay, so the movies I've got are not really. Well, I mean, there's at least three comedies. They're probably not gonna get through all of my movies. Um, but the one I'm going to talk about first is the one that I've watched most recently, and it's Stranger Than Fiction. I watched it last night.
I've heard of that movie.
It flew under
I
the
don't know anything
radar.
about it.
It flew under the radar. Came out in 2006. It's got a really good premise, and it's got a really good cast. Uh, it's got Will Ferrell, Dustin Hoffman. It's got Queen Latifah, Emma Thompson, Maggie Gyllenhaal or whatever. Uh,
Harold Crick isn't ready to go. Oh God, Harold Crick isn't ready to go. Period. Period. Period.
I like I like the alternate tagline they have on other posters, but the other posters I couldn't get in this in like a decent quality. Uh, it's Harold Crick isn't crazy. He's just written that way.
Yeah, I think that goes a lot better than the. Actually, you know what? I like the period, period, period thing. They literally have dot period, like the actual symbol, and then they have the word period afterward, and then they have another dot period after that. So technically, it reads period, 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 and I love that.
Yeah. So
As a writer, I'm frustrated by that.
I think this is it like it's very highly rated for all for the ratings it has. It's not a bad movie. It just flew under the radar, and I'm not sure why, but I I love it. The premise is, so you've got this guy, Harold Crick, played by Will Ferrell, and he's really just he's not really like uh an he's not like a guy that's super like noticeable. He's kind of like just a super average generic guy.
Kind of quiet and out of the way.
Uh yeah. He's an IRS agent, and he's got like a bunch of these he's kind I think it's basically OCD. Like he'll count like how many times he strokes like when he's brushing his teeth, like how many brushes he does on each tooth, and he'll like
Oh
he
yeah.
lives alone, and but suddenly one day he starts hearing this woman's voice narrating everything he does.
Oh my God.
uh like he wakes up, and this she's like narrating like, and like as he's doing his whole morning routine, she's like, and while other people are looking forward to what they're going to do that day or planning on how they're going to do something, Harold simply counted brush strokes. And he's like, and he stops brushing his teeth, and he's like, who said that? Who said Harold counted brushstrokes?
So it's kind of like a combination of Bruce Almighty and freaking the 40-year-old virgin.
Kind of. But like it gets crazy because, well, obviously he kind of starts thinking he's going nuts because he just keeps hearing this voice narrating everything. Uh, and as it progresses, it gets to a point where, uh, like they put the narrator like puts all this emphasis on his wristwatch, and like everything in his life is run by this watch. Basically, like everything's on a schedule. He's got all his alarms and everything. So this watch, like, if something happens with this watch, his whole life gets thrown off.
Hmm.
And so, like, she puts a lot of emphasis on this, and then his watch goes on the fritz. and like and so he has to ask someone for the time to reset his watch. And right when he does that, the narrator goes, "Little did he know that this seemingly insignificant event in his life would lead to his imminent death." The
And he can
rest of the
hear that
movie,
shit, and he's like, "What?"
he just starts screaming at the sky. What? What? What do you mean? What do you mean? It'll lead to his imminent death. Why's it gotta be my death?
Why can't it be his death? And just point to some random person.
And so the rest of the movie is him trying to avoid this imminent death. And it's crazy. Like I love it. It's a great premise because he's trying to figure out, like, he's it like he like even goes to, like, a psychologist, and like she's like, what you're describing, like, you hear a voice in your head narrating everything you do. You're describing schizophrenia. He's like, but it's not schizophrenia. I just know it's
I'm not crazy.
I'm not crazy. But it's because there's like kind of it's all one plot, but like there are two stories running alongside, because the other, like, kind of storyline going on is that of the author who is writing a book, and writing a she's writing a book. She's like a big author, and she's has writer's block, and she's trying to figure out how to end her book. And she can't figure out, like, she's a tragedy writer. And so
Oh God,
her heroes
how'd that
always
feel?
die. And so she has a writer's block. She can't figure out how to kill her hero. And she and her book is called Death and Taxes. Main character's name is Harold
Isn't that
Crick.
an actual book?
Well, it's a saying. It might be a book, but her character is Harold Crick.
Ooh, so it's like the never-ending story where she
is
writes
the narrator.
and it happens.
Right. But she doesn't. Like, the whole thing is he's trying to figure out, like, the whole movie. I'm not going to really go into any more of the stuff because I've kind of set up the plot. And it just,
I feel like
it's
you kind
done.
of giving away spoilers.
Well, if I say any more of what, because what I just described to you was the trailer of the film.
Oh.
Damn,
that trailer gave away a lot.
Oh no, it barely gives away anything. Because you learn all this within the first, like, 10 minutes of the movie.
No.
The rest of the movie is him trying to, well, avoid this imminent death. And it's great. I would highly suggest it, but it's a super interesting idea. It's a super interesting premise for the movie. And I think it's done very well. It's kind of it's a dark comedy. And I think it flew under a lot of people's radars. And I have been wanting to see it for a really long time, and I couldn't. I don't even remember what movie it was, but there's some DVD I have. I remember watching, it had the preview for this movie. And it's always been in the back of my mind, me wanting to see it ever since then. And it's on Netflix right now. Might be on Amazon Prime. But yeah, it's a great movie. I like it a lot.
There you go. I don't know. I just like Will Ferrell in general. Like
Oh
he's
yeah,
always
me.
that guy who's gonna like he could play a serious actor or a serious character, or he could play a funny character. And I love that I don't know which he's gonna be. Like he could show up in like a legitimate hardcore action movie and maybe say one or two lines as the comedy relief, and I'd be totally down for it. Or he could be in like the next scary movie if they're even still making those, and I would still be totally down for it.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
love that guy.
he's great. I actually recently.
Also, the first lady.
Uh,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I,
Oh, I was just gonna say the first lady, like underneath the F in Stranger Than Fiction,
yeah.
like straight up looks like Judge Judy. Looks like a more calm version of Judge Judy.
Eh, it's Emma Thompson. Not sure what else she's been in, but I know I recognize the name.
Oh, Matt Thompson is Judge Judy.
Ah.
My grandma watched that show way too damn much.
I
Stuff
think
was
it's still
always on. It
on.
was just a chance. What?
I think it's still on.
I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, as long as he's around, the show's going to be around, and I don't think that lady dies. I think she gets 1 year for every court case she wins.
Ah. Yeah, so that
Have
is.
you ever like sat and watched that show? Go
I've
ahead.
seen clips of it.
Oh god, it's one of those shows that you only want to watch like in small bits. You never want to watch the whole show at a time because the people on there are so unbelievably stupid that it doesn't seem very hard to be Judge Judy. Like these
Oh
people are
yeah,
straight up idiots.
right. It's crazy. Uh, yeah. The next. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next movie I've got. Uh,
For it.
well, first I was going to quickly mention another smaller movie that flew under a lot of people's radars that I don't actually have an image for because didn't, I wasn't gonna like, not going to go into a lot, but I would recommend it. It's called Everything Must Go. It has Will Ferrell as main character. Plays main character who is basically locked out of his house. After something caused his wife to get angry. She moved literally every bit of property, like every item that he owns, and put it on the front lawn, and changed the locks to the house, and then left. And then the whole movie is, I basically just him dealing with that.
Mm.
It's pretty great, and it's actually based on a short story that I really really liked. We read in high school English class with the same name. Uh, so
Oh,
basically,
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's great.
I was looking at something else.
Um,
Um
okay, so the next movie is an Adam Sandler movie,
oh dear. Either going to
and
be like one of those tear jerkers or it's going to be something totally forgettable.
oh, it's
It's
not
good.
forgettable.
It's probably one of the
It's
tear
great.
jerkers.
It's Click.
Oh god, yes, it's the tearjerker one.
It's an
It's
amazing movie.
one of those one like I mean it's a good as a funny movie, but then you know that one part
It gets
where like
real.
he's yeah, it gets real as fuck and then like they jump right back into the like the jokes and shit. He's just like uh Dave or whatever that guy's name was. He's like reaching up for him and everything. He's like, "Oh shit, Adam, what are you trying to say to me, buddy?" And then he just flips him off, and it's like, ah,
Yeah.
yes, Adam Sandler at his best.
And it's such I think Click is one of uh the most underrated, at least in popular media. Like a lot of people, it didn't. I don't think it got as much attention as it deserved. It because I think it has an incredibly powerful message to tell.
Oh yeah, yeah. And don't let life pass you by. Dude's given a remote to be able to pass through all the difficult parts in his life, and then realizes that like it's on autopilot, and that's just how you live your life now. That's freaking real as hell.
Right, and it's such an important thing because it's basically like everyone is always looking for an easier way out of doing something, or like out of
Mm-hmm.
a difficult situation. No one wants to face a hard situation, a hard problem. But it's
Mm-hmm.
but you need those hard times. You can't just skip them. Like they're going to happen. But that makes the great times all that better, the good times.
Oh,
And
why? Like,
yeah, we just need like if you only want the good times, then like it's almost like not like the good times don't mean much anymore.
yeah, I don't know. I've always been like, just because like I've been in the military so long and had so many like crap jobs and like had to do so many crap things that like every time I run into like I'm gonna have to do something difficult or I got to deal with somebody who's difficult or something. I'm just like, well, this is another chance for me to make a funny story out of it. Definitely gonna laugh about this later. I'm gonna hate life while I'm doing it, but hopefully it'll become a funny story when something eventually messes up, or if it goes south, or if it turns out to be awesome as hell. Then I've got an awesome freaking story to tell afterward.
Right, and you never know what's gonna happen. Like you never know what's gonna happen. Like something that seems like it's gonna be like something hard, like some you might get something amazing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so I've always thought that um, it mixes enough comedy within the movie to like keep it entertaining, but also tackles like the reality of the message.
Mm.
And it
Yeah,
yeah, it's something that I recommend to everyone like who hasn't seen it.
love how like you can just say Adam Sandler movie and you kind of already know what you're in for. Like Adam Sandler should just be its own like subcategory of movies. Call them all like Happy Gilmore, like freaking Click and Daddy's Home and all that shit. Just put it all into the category of Adam Sandler movie. That's how most people know him anyways. Like we don't know him as comedies, like action or whatever the hell else they classify him as. Just call them all Adam Sandler movies.
Right, and I think his
Actually, you
act
know what subcategory? Actually, you know what subcategory? Like good and bad Adam Sandler movie.
yeah, that's the
That's a
big
little bit
thing.
more honest.
Because I think a lot of people will be like, well, is it old Adam Sandler or is it newer Adam Sandler? But it's like
Oh,
I think I think it's more like a lot of people didn't seem to like a lot of his more kid oriented movies that came out like late 2000s, early 2010s. Uh
yeah, but that was the thing. Everybody wanted it at the time.
right,
Wanted something
and
family oriented, and that is not a family oriented man.
right, and I think it, uh he seemed to one of the movies out of that period that I liked a lot was Bedtime Stories. Uh
Mm,
it was it was decent. Uh
trying to
and
remember that one.
uh if I remember correctly, because I haven't seen it in a while, he basically reads bedtime stories, but like they become real as he tells them.
Yeah.
It was a Disney movie.
Yeah, they would come up with something like that. But that sounds like such an awesome premise. Like, was it a good Adam Sandler movie, or did he Adam Sandler it up?
I put it in good Adam Sandler. Like as good of a family, like he did as good as he can as like without getting like inappropriate. But I think he
Yeah,
pulled it
getting
off. I think
inappropriate
he
for
pulled it up
ages.
really well. I think he pulled it off really well. Because it's kind of like he gives off like the like goofy uncle type of vibe.
Yeah.
Um, and it just there's like a lot. He's always had like that feel like that childlikeness to him, kind of like he like goofy at childlike, not like well he is immature, but like
What
you know what I mean.
are you trying to say here?
He'll be goofy with it. Like sometimes even comic actors don't want to like get like slapstick comedy. So like
Yeah.
he's kind of willing to like I think it's his like the vibe he gives off just kind of made it work.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I think that he has a big range of acting he's able to do. But
Yeah.
I think he gets typecast a lot.
I mean, he gets typecast in his own movies because he produces a lot of his own movies too.
All right, I'm just saying like there are movies that he pitches that get turned down because the studio's like, well, that's not what the public sees as an Adam Sandler movie, so we don't think it'll do very well. I mean, that's
The
what happened.
worst thing you the worst thing you can do is try to make a movie an Adam Sandler movie because 9 times out of 10 you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail hard.
Right.
You
Um.
can't make an Adam Sandler movie. They are just birthed into the world by the hand of God himself.
Yeah. I think one of those ones that was kind of like tossed out by a lot of studios. It turned out to be a big success, which I haven't seen, but I am going to watch soon. Is Hidden Gems or Uncut Gems? That's it, Uncut Gems. Uh, A20, the studio A24 picked that up, and they're like a well, I don't know much about their backstory, but like from all the stuff like I've seen, they put out Midsummer or and Uncut Gems, and they picked up Has Been Hotel. Uh, they seem to just like if they see potential in something, they'll just like they'll pick it up and then just let the creator run with it. And so apparently Uncut Gems is like from what I've heard, it's kind of a departure from what you might think of as an Adam Sandler movie. And that's why no
Yeah.
studio was picking it up until A24.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just kind of default to like grown ups or like pix pix pixels whenever whenever I think of an Adam Sandler movie.
I haven't
Then I
seen
kind of
Pixels.
have
I
to like
want to.
will myself past those types of movies and be like, no, he's actually made some pretty good movies. Like
Oh yeah,
I
he's
just got to
made good
remember those.
movies.
Yeah, because like those are what pop up into my head when I mention Adam Sandler movie, and like initially, and then I got to be like, no, he's actually made good stuff. He's good, and he's a good actor. It's just I don't like most of the movies that he's produced.
Yeah, there. Pixels is one
I
I
love
was
it when he
interested
yells
in
at somebody.
seeing. I haven't seen Pixels, but I remember I was interested when I saw the trailer because it seemed like a cool premise at
Yeah.
in my mind. And it was based. It
Just
was actually based off a short film called Pixels.
yeah, like a privately made film that
Uh,
that
yeah, maybe. I
somebody random made or that Adam
Yeah,
made.
someone random.
That's pretty
But
dope. Finding out that like somebody big name got your idea and put it on the big screen.
yeah.
Dope.
Um
Kevin Hart's the president. Oh boy.
yeah, I don't know, I might if I see it on a streaming service, I might throw it on sometime.
Cast is live. Oh dear, we're live. Just saw it on my phone, so I thought
Oh.
I'd say it.
Huh.
I gotta go watch it. So maybe my microphone will pick it up and then it'll have that really weird feedback that'll drown everyone out and make the audio crap.
Please, no.
Actually,
Let's
I don't think
see.
it's on, so
Okay. Next one I'm going to talk about. I actually might get through all these. Because I've only got 3 more. Um, do you like a do you like my favorite horror movie or another comedy?
mm, ooh, let's do horror. Talked enough about comedy, so we'll do horror.
Okay, and we're coming in with a classic horror movie.
I feel like I'm gonna like do some like amazing song right now because I got this little thing right in front of my face now. Got my headphones on. I feel like I'm about to drop some mad bars or something. Like, just start singing some amazing songs.
Eh, nice.
Then I remember that I can't sing, so I just like kind of move around because I can't see my mouth. So I just like pretend like I'm just singing while I'm talking to you, but I'm actually
Oh,
just talking.
yeah. So, my favorite horror movie is the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh shit!
I
God, it is.
love that
Go
movie.
ahead.
It's such a good premise. First of all, Freddy Krueger is a great uh, horror icon, but he's just a great villain. Also,
Yeah.
it was executed really well on it. Like it uses practical effects, and it's just like it's such like a well made film, especially for like having such a low budget and um not a lot of like they didn't have much money for like big names or anything. And so a lot of the main cast was just like newer on the scene of Hollywood. Um,
Yeah.
but it taps into like that prime like such a primal like fear of just like we can't like not even being safe in your own head. And
Yeah.
it's so great. And Johnny Depp is first on like his first movie debut.
Yeah. I don't know. I just gotta like I love any movie that like especially like older movies that like you wouldn't even believe that they were low budget, like they were trying as hard as they could like with the little bit that they had to work with as far as like, you know, budget and all that, and like actors and big names and all that, because you know they're trying something new, they're trying something crazy. Nobody knows if it'll actually work. Nobody probably even cares if it actually works. But then suddenly, like it becomes like a huge thing. It's a cult following, and people end up loving it afterward. I freaking love those. Those are like the best stories. Like, and I'm pretty sure it's been remade in movies or like done in movies where like a group starts from humble beginnings and becomes something amazing. Like, to see it in real life is so freaking awesome. Like, I personally wasn't a big Nightmare on Elm Street like fan growing up. I was more of a Jason fan. Like, I loved watching those movies. That girl getting stabbed through the tent while she's having maritals with somebody, just trying to like keep it PG for
I'm
you.
trying to
She got
remember.
stabbed
I'm
right through
trying
the
to
freaking
remember
tent.
which one that was. I've seen all of all the Friday 13th movies and all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and geez, I think that might have been. Was that Jason Goes to Hell?
I think it was actually, yeah, I think it was because it was the one where the lady got her jaw punched in. Then that girl had like the knife of Uber power or whatever, and she ended up stabbing Jason in the heart with it. He got like shot all to shit for like 20 minutes by the police.
Well, like the movie opens up and they explode him.
Well, that was the first time. I think if I remember correctly, toward the end, like they end up shooting him all to shit again.
Oh yeah, no, they
And
do.
like,
They do that
I
once
got
they
this
get him
dagger of
back.
super power.
That was such a weird
Yeah.
Friday. That was such a weird Friday movie. It like almost didn't. It almost didn't feel because like Jason, like in his normal form, is barely in it.
Yeah. I'm down with that because like I enjoy the whole series. This is my whole like what's the term? Introduction to horror genre. Um Before then I'd only watched like black and white movies. And like my idea of a horror movie was actually just a comedy. Abbott and Costello
Oh,
meets I think Dracula. Oh, such a good movie. So freaking funny.
yeah, those are movies I've got on the list uh to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Dude,
I love
uh
these movies. So good.
yeah.
And
Dude,
it's
I still
I hated
remember.
the remake. The remake of Nightmare on Elm Street was hot garbage.
Didn't that come out like only a few years ago?
Uh I think it came out like maybe well, it might have come out like 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay, so that's only a few years ago to me.
Yeah, it was and I saw the when they did the first released the first trailer for it. I was like, I already know it's garbage because Robert Englund isn't in it.
Yeah.
Like he made Freddy. Like you can't like you can like try and reimagine the character, but like it's not going to be the iconic Freddy Krueger.
He like so he made Freddy. Did he like he write the character? Did he
No,
direct the
he
movie? Did he like
no,
physically make the
like
mask?
he's the actor. He plays Freddy, and
That shows how much I know.
he brought he's the guy that like brought that attitude of Freddy, like that kind of smugness he has even in the first movie when he's not like all like kind of comedic in certain aspects, but like in the first movie he's pretty serious, but he still has that like smugness to him where he's like,
Yeah.
I like you don't know that I'm all powerful and like I have all this power, but I'm just gonna mess with you and like that's his whole thing. He loves like teasing and like
Yeah.
playing with his prey.
And seen Freddy versus Jason.
Oh
That's the
my
only Jason movie I've seen technically. Dude, I love because like I actually did enjoy Jason or Freddy. I just never watched any of his other movies, but I do remember like I don't even remember what he said, but like I did enjoy him. The fact that Jason's there and he's just a freaking tank, like always. He just puts up with whatever anyone throws at him, or like breaks over his head or something. He's just like whatever, cuts him in half with a freaking machete, and they square off for like 5 minutes, and it's awesome.
Right, and it was so great because they actually teased that movie at the end of Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I
I don't
think
know
they
how they
did.
were able
Yeah.
I don't know how they were able to, because the only reason they were able to finally make Freddy vs. Jason is because the New Line got the rights to both franchises. But they
Yeah.
didn't. But whoever had Friday the 13th originally, I don't know how they got the rights from Newground to even have that tease at the end of the movie. But they teased it, and then it took over a decade.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But I love
I
that
want to
movie.
watch
Freddy
those
vs. Jason is such a great movie.
movies now. Like the
Nightmare.
Jason movies, and then
Oh, Friday and yeah, just all
yeah,
of them.
and maybe watch Nightmare on Elm Street. But
Nightmare
I
on
don't
Elm
really
Street
want
is
to
so
watch some
good.
Abbott and Costello right now.
Yeah,
Like, those will always be my favorite horror movies.
yeah.
Part where like, oh my, well, you've never seen it, but like, there's a part in Dracula meets or Abbott and Costello meets Dracula, and like where Dracula comes into a room and he's a bat, and like he morphs into a man. And as I got older, it was very obviously just like a drawing of a man, but that like it was actually it's just animation. It was just drawing, and like it becomes him at some point. They just like cut it, and he's there. And I remember like as a little kid, like a really young kid, that actually scared the shit out of me. That he would just like come into my room at any time and just turn into Dracula and like kill me or something. And like I watched it later as an older kid, and I was like, that sucks. I'm tough. I can take freaking horror movies now because I've watched that, and like it doesn't scare me anymore. I watched Jason and I didn't sleep for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, those. So the thing, with so all these big slasher franchises, as they went on, they all kind of defaulted to having a lot of goofy stuff in them. Uh, like with Jason, it wasn't as much like uh comedy, like vocal comedy, because he don't speak, but it was just like the amount of ways he would kill people
Mm-hmm.
would just get
He'd kill
like
him with some really weird shit.
it get yeah, it just get comedic.
Mm-hmm.
um
I don't even remember all the things that he did.
I'd
Dude,
say
I know he killed a lady with a freaking umbrella one time,
yeah, I'd say one of my favorite
and he knocked that
kills,
lady's jaw in.
yeah, one of my favorite kills of the whole franchise is in the third Friday 13th. uh and I only remember it's the third one because it was in 3D, but it was like that crappy 3D.
In
The
3D.
red and blue 3D. Uh, Before we had
Yeah.
like the good 3D of today. Um, but like
Bougie 3D.
but even today they still fall into the stupid trope of, oh, it's 3D, so we have to throw things at the screen. Um, but one of his
Being
kills was
annoying, playful.
squeezing a guy's head so hard that his eyeball pops out and flies at the screen. And it's so bad. Like, the effect is so bad. It is
Yeah.
so bad, but it is great. It's so bad that it's great.
Yeah.
And
Just one scene.
it was hilarious, and I never watched it in 3D because I do have some 3D glasses from something, but like I don't know how people back then even just for like gimmick of it could stand watching movies through those things.
Yeah, I don't know. We thought we were advanced, okay?
Hmm.
Like it's like, oh shit, the frogs or whatever are popping out of the screen. It's so advanced. I feel like I'm in the future right now. Yeah. Okay, we didn't have actual VRs that we could just put on our head and literally be there.
All right, I
Which
appreciate
you know,
like the technology as like the stepping stone for where we are now. It's just I
it,
having the choice I do now, I don't I'm not going to
you know
watch a
something
whole movie through that.
something I thought about that would be really freaking cool. All right. What if you made a movie that was VR? Right? You were inside the movie, and while like you have limitations as to what you can do, basically it's just like one giant cutscene that you can interact with. Like you just follow the characters around. When they freaking do their thing, they do their thing. But it's kind of like being inside of a memory. You can't like interact with anything in the movie or anything. You're just there. You can
I
like walk around the characters and all that.
I think there are
Like,
I think I heard that there are some studios trying to work on something like that.
yeah. Like, I mean, it'd be expensive as shit, but
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, VR would like be amazing.
Right. And
Can you imagine
there's
being like a in can you imagine being in like a Freddy movie where like, you're actually inside the movie and even though he can't like see you or something, you're just there to see all of it.
oh, it
Ugh.
terrified me. I dream like it's like when I watched it the very first time. I like there because they had such small budget. Most of the dream sequences happened in very similar locations. Um,
Mhm.
because I mean, well, for money reasons, they couldn't afford a lot of sets, but for story reasons, it's because that's where he like lived when he was alive was in this location, so he would always drag all his victims to there in their dreams.
Yeah. Well,
But
that
like
and I
it's
mean,
this
if
warehouse.
you establish a location of where he kills people, then suddenly you're like, that's like the iconic area. Like you could make a movie that was years after the first one, and they see that and they're like, oh shit. Like it's not even just, oh, I'm in Jason's world. It's like, oh shit, is this a Jason movie? Like they immediately start to think this might be. They'll start making connections, and then like you got the conspiracists that are like, oh shit, this is all in the same world. Like
Right.
so like having the same locations can sometimes play a bigger part than just, oh, it saved us budget or something.
All
It's
right.
like, yeah, yeah, they planned it out.
Right, and I'm pretty sure they go to this location in Fravors Jason. Um it's this like boiler it's like generic factory set. So just think
Yeah.
like steam and pipes everywhere and like boilers and
Oh yeah.
stuff and uh but like after I watched it the first time, I was much younger, but like I had a nightmare that night and I was
Hmm.
in there. And I was just like, no. 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 This
Hmm.
isn't happening. This isn't happening. I was like, it freaked
Yeah.
me out so much. And um I don't know. I think I think that would be it would be such an interesting experience like to do a VR movie, but like that immediately means like you're not going to get any box office revenue because it's not going to go to a theater.
Oh, I mean, it's still gonna sell as a video game, and I mean, video games sell for usually about 3 to 6 times the amount of a normal movie. So
Right, but
might not
you're
be a
also
bad thing.
limiting your audience to VR owners.
Yeah, but you can get a cult following. I mean,
Right.
there are video games that sell a shite ton of copies, especially if it goes to console, which it definitely will if it's VR.
Right.
I'm
And
just saying, there's a lot of yins and yangs, but if the movie's good, I feel like it would work,
Yeah, and
be successful.
I think there's a movie. So this kind of reminding me of the movie Surf's Up, animated movie, came out in the 2000s about a penguin doing like it's like a it's shot like it feels like it's supposed like the camera the like virtual camera's movement is like supposed to feel like a handheld documentary.
Yeah.
um but the way they shot it is insane, and I think well, the way they created it is insane. um Basically, and
Where they shot those penguins was so cool.
so they built the entire world, even the stuff that would never be on camera. um and the way they would animate all the scenes as like a 3D environment. So think about like it would be like they were making just video game NPC movement things and stuff. So like you wouldn't have a focused point, you would just be seeing the entire thing. And then they would have someone holding the this camera in real life that had a bunch of tracking sensors on it. So they would be able to transfer it into the virtual world. So the camera movement is genuine, like handheld camera movement. And they can move around. They like however the guy moves the camera in real life is how it moves in the computer. And so it's like he was actually shooting a documentary of these animated penguins.
Yeah, I think I remember this movie. Like, and a lot of people thought it was just a documentary, and they were like, why are they putting a documentary in the freaking theaters?"
Well,
And I
it
think it was one of
was
those
like
movies.
it was like, well, they're talking and everything, and they're surfs, like he's surf, like it's him learning to surf, but like they spent all this money, they invented this new way to like have a virtual camera just to get this feeling of handheld documentary style movement. But that also means they could have released it as a VR movie if VR had been at the level it is now at the time they released it. Because,
Yeah.
and then they would just have the camera, and they would remove the camera, and the camera would just be the person,
Yeah.
and it would have worked. Because, and
Excuse me.
that's the way they did it, was like, okay, so it's like, why waste money having them animate these things that are never on screen? And it's because everything feels really natural about it. Like someone, like you're like the camera guy is walking along talking to one of the main characters, and you hear a noise, and the camera whips around like a natural person would like go to like look where the noise was. So it whips, and you see the end of a guy hitting the ground because he just tripped over something.
Yeah.
Now, in a normal animated movie, they would only be animating that part where he's just about to hit the ground. But like the full animation is there. Like him hitting something on his foot, tripping and falling. The entire thing is there. So if that camera had hit him at any time during the fall, you'd actually see it. And so I think,
Yeah. So it's
yeah,
shot for a lot of leeway.
yeah, and I think that was an amazing thing, and I don't know of any other animated film that's done that. Uh, but it was so interesting seeing like the behind the scenes of it and everything, because it like the possibilities for animated films, like the possibilities for like new ways to have animated films is like Like, it blew my mind when I first saw the behind the scenes, because I was like, there's so much potential here. But then I was like, no studio's going to pay to do this. Like, financially,
Yeah,
it was such a large amount of the budget for the movie went in just into that. And for a movie that, like, it did fairly well, but like not well enough obviously to get another one or anything like that.
well, I mean, a lot of a VR movie, like what's that Final Fantasy movie that came out that was it was all animation. Like I feel like that's going to be the first VR movie that actually comes out, and 'cause that's something that animators can do. Like, can you imagine if Resident Evil 7 was made into a movie? I mean, it damn near could have been a movie. It had the world set up. You had an area to walk around in, and the environment and the people were actually scary. Like, regardless of whether you were actually the one being messed with or if like it was just happening in front of you or something. Like you would actually be scared by it. Not it doesn't have to be like a real person or something. So it would just be an entire world that you would interact with versus like if you go into like a real movie that's supposed to be technically live action, there's no way in heaven or hell they can capture everything that's going on in the room from all angles unless like we get to the point that like you can shoot people from multiple directions. You kind of can with cars, and there's a little bit of technology out there that can kind of do that, like combine cameras and make like a omnipresent, view. But I mean, I don't think somebody would want to go through the trouble of doing it. Like, I don't even think it's that expensive of a thing to do. It's just, I don't think you'd want to go through the trouble of it, and I don't think anyone's actually tried it. Like shoot actors from multiple directions, get the cameras just right to the point that it would shoot the like it would you could combine the shot into a single image, um, then make it something that you could see from multiple directions. So I don't know, because the minute you take a step to the left or right, it's going to mess up the image. So it'd be cool though if you could do that
Right.
somehow, make it where the shots could go together.
All right, and I feel like out of any like media industry, the movie industry seems like the slowest to innovate or try any like experiment with anything. Uh it's just like it's so focused on like anything, like we don't want even the slightest chance of us losing on this investment. So we're not
Part
going
of
to
it is
like
that
we're not going to put any money into trying something new in case this isn't a successful movie and we don't get our money back.
I mean, I feel like part of that is true, but I mean, at the same time, like it's not like I can see a lot of people not wanting to do that in their movies just because you don't want to go like all out on the special effects and then like forget about actually making a good movie with good actors and such. So like, you get really good actors who are main name, they're really good, they can really carry a movie if they need to. Not going to want to mess around with new technology, like really new technology, something that's experimental and you're not even sure if it's actually going to draw a crowd. It might just turn everyone away immediately. Like that's how anime or how like 3D stuff was when it first came onto the scene for like movies and stuff. Like it was either you had a movie that had show offy graphics, like it would have some weird pixelated monster as their main villain or something that didn't look real at all. And it had really good freaking like graphics and whatnot for the time, but the story was awful. The characters didn't like weren't invested or anything or something like that. The movie itself was subpar, but the graphics at the time were really good and the models they were building were really good. Or you had a movie that was had good acting and good scenes and good story and all that shit, but the 3D models were like kind of shitty and really bad and weren't even good for the time that they came out, you know? And you had like maybe one or two of them that just really nailed it, like Jurassic Park, you know? Just to come back to what we were talking about before. Jurassic Park, like they made dinosaur models in a time when used to those models would look really fake and really shitty. But and by today's standards, they probably would, but they got a bit of a facelift. But back then, that shit looked so real. Looked like you could reach right out and grab T Rex and then probably lose your arm. But it wasn't just that. You had good acting. You had, good scenes, good story writing, and just an overall fun experience. So those are the things that are going to move that stuff forward. But unless you have all that, it's just going to prove why that doesn't work in movies, why that new concept doesn't work in movies.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like no one, like the rebirth of 3D didn't really happen until Avatar.
Yeah. Avatar, again, it's one of those movies that had really great graphics. It showed exactly what you could do with an all digital movie being portrayed as like, you know, live action movie. Like it has like real people walking around in a 3D world with 3D characters. But that was literally the only thing about it that was cool.
Well, yeah,
The
that's the
story was
only thing
kind of
people remember about it. It
yeah,
was the best 3D was, and I'd probably argue still is the best 3D movie ever created. Like the
it's
best
got a few of them topping
implementation
it.
of 3D.
Yeah, it
Because but that like
it's got
the point is it was made with that in mind. So everything was built
yeah,
around the fact that this was 3D, but not like a
hmm
gimmicky 3D. This was like a natural, like you're gonna feel like you're there 3D, or you're
yeah.
gonna feel like it's not gonna feel forced, and like it made most of its money at the box office because people weren't
At
really
the
gonna
time, it
buy
was
it.
amazing.
Yeah, and people weren't really gonna buy the home release of the movie because it was just gonna be the movie. You weren't getting the 3D
No,
experience. And the few people that
no.
have 3D TVs, I mean, I don't know if it like I feel like the size of the theater screen played into it a lot too. Like
hmm
watching on a 3D
Because it had a lot
TV
of big
wouldn't give
establishing
you.
shots.
Yeah. Yeah, watching on a 3D TV wouldn't give you that same effect.
hmm But that'd be the same way with what we're talking about, I guess. I guess what you could call it, I don't know. Well, VR movie. I guess that'd be what you'd want to call it, is a VR movie. It'd be the same way. Like every time it's gonna have really good graphics or graphics that are so for the time or maybe just a little bit shit, or they're gonna have good for the time graphics, but the story's gonna be subpar and forgettable, or the characters are gonna be cookie cutter. And it's gonna be like a number of years before we get to the point where you can have really good graphics and good effects and all that, and also afford good actors who are talented, but know enough about that style that it's not going to be awkward and weird. You ever seen
Yeah.
an actor talk to a 3D model that wasn't there and they're like totally off, like they're looking in the wrong direction or not acting right or something? It's so awkward.
Yeah, it there was uh there was something I was going so like one thing I'm thinking of at like right now, like a big problem running it one would run into with a VR movie would be the fact and it's just something because it's something I've experienced a couple times when I've played VR games. A movie is like you need you want the audience to see like all the action and everything. But if you're going to give them the opportunity to look at everything, like look away from the focus of the scene, they might miss some action. Like you'd have to find a way to naturally keep their attention in that scenario.
Well, I mean, honestly, there's moments in normal movies where your eye is drawn away from whatever the hell the actors are saying because it's a boring scene or it's just a scene where they have to explain exposition. Like it's not even something that the movie's doing wrong. It's just that's what they have to do right now. They have to explain what's going on. And it's usually when they'll drop in, something to keep the eyes busy. So you're not just looking down at your phone or I don't know, jerking off or something. You're actually like engaged in some way, even if you're not watching the actors moving around and doing stuff. So, not to mention, if you're not watching and then, oh, something crazy happens, like the room explodes or something. Well, you didn't see how it happened the first time, so I guess you have to watch it again. That creates replayability. Know what I'm saying?
Right. I think I keep thinking like there's I don't know, the Six Flags by me doesn't have it anymore, but uh they used to have something. It was basically a VR theater. Was they call it VR ride, but basically it's like a section of almost like movie theater seats with VR with like one of those like arcade looking VR headsets that like is dangling down from a machine. It's like really big and it's like a visor. Um but like those would have uh sometimes it would just like be running like some like like small movie or something they shot like specifically
Yeah.
for those setups. Um but the those kind of like were almost entirely gimmick.
Yeah.
Uh but they like went all out on the gimmick. It would be like the seats vibrated and uh sometimes like uh there'd be like a mist that would spray. Uh
Oh God. That's
and like
that's like Walt Disney style of stuff where like you got you sit in the 3D audience. I still remember one, like a Bugs game or something like that, and you were like watching a movie and it was a Bug's Life. And out of nowhere, like they had like spiders dropping from the ceilings. And it was actually like happening, but it was like fake, spiders just hanging and bobbing up and down in the air. And out of nowhere, there was this thing that would like come up and it would, poke you in the back. It wasn't like sharp or anything. It was a little thing that just popped up in your seat. It would like, kind of stick you a little bit. Like it was real dull. So it didn't actually hurt you. It was
right.
just enough to make you jump. That like as a little kid that terrified me. Like I sat forward forever and I was like, oh God, fucking bee's gonna come out and sting me through the seat or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I
so
hated that.
basically for the one at Six Flags, like think about that, but there wasn't like a good movie on.
Yeah.
It was a movie that was like, okay, we're gonna do a bunch of stuff to them, and they're gonna be like, oh man, I feel it.
Oh my God, it's like I'm really there.
And
Holy
then you get off and you're like,
shit.
I paid $10 extra for this experience, and so I'm just gonna convince myself it was worth it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've never, but yeah, like someone with like Disney, they would they'd just go all out. But I mean, Six Flags doesn't have the budget to go all out.
Six Flags wishes it was Disney. It's like Silver Dollar City.
I love Silver Dollar
Anybody even
City.
knows what that is?
Oh my gosh, I love
Yeah.
Silver Dollar City.
Uh, can't. can't remember if Silver Dollar City is right outside of Branson, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, went there a lot as a kid. It
It's
was a
so
fun time.
good. I haven't gone there in so long, and I really want to go back. And they have one of my favorite rides that I've ever ridden, which isn't saying much because I've only been to 3 theme parks in my life, and one of them I barely remember. Um,
Yeah.
Six Flags St. Louis, Six Flags over Mid America, which is outside Chicago, and Silver Dollar City. And I was so young at
Thought
the
you were gonna say another
Chicago.
Six Flags.
Oh yeah, the one outside Chicago. I was so young, I barely remember anything, so I
Yeah.
barely count it. But Silver Dollar City, I love, and it's got my favorite ride out of, well, at least from the last time I went, I remember it being my favorite ride still. But this was like 7 years ago. It's called Fire in the Hole, and if they don't have it anymore, I'm gonna be mad. But it's like an all indoor roller
Mm.
coaster.
Wait, I remember Fire in the Hole,
Oh
like
yeah, and
from
there's like a
whatever
big
Six
drop at
Flags
the
I went
end.
to.
Well, this wasn't
Mm-hmm.
This was Silver Dollar City.
Um, Silver Dollar City like actually has a really cool ride that I think got discontinued because it was actually like dangerous or something like that. But it had this ride that no shit, right? You went up onto this really high loft, right, where it started, and it looks like a slide, okay? But you're waiting in line, and like it's a really long freaking wait. You're like, shit, I hope this is really, worth it, um, because it's just like this little spot that everyone's going into, and it's one at a time. Like it's literally just one person at a time. But you can see like people screaming as they come out and everything. There's like little windows so you can see them, and so it's one person per ride. Well, you get up there and you realize that there's a door that they're shutting on these people, right? And then they're crossing their arms and they're crossing their legs, okay? And then, like, whenever it gets to be your turn, it tells you to do all the stuff. They close the door on you and you're like terrified. And out of nowhere, this drop door opens underneath you. Like, you're not inside of a car, you're not strapped down to anything. You're just standing there in, your bathing suit in front of
Oh
God and
yeah.
everybody. And this drop door, and like there's this jet pressure that like pushes you down too, so you'll fall extra fast too, and like literally your balls go straight up into your head. Like that's how fast you go. You go through this freaking giant loop-de-loop and stuff, and of course you're going through the little windows too, so everybody can see you screaming and crying and everything. You go flying into a pool afterward.
Yeah, they installed one of those at the Six Flags St.
God,
Louis
I'm talking about.
water park. And yeah, I is probably not as cool as yours. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Something happened?
Yep. I'm on freaking hotel internet, and
Uh,
it decides when it doesn't want to work anymore.
shit.
So yeah, I don't know where you got cut off, but
Yeah,
yeah, I don't remember what
they installed
it
something
was.
like that at the Six Flags uh near me. It's crazy.
It's a great freaking ride. If they still got it, you should go on it. You're gonna scream like a little girl, but it's fun.
I've ridden it.
Yeah.
The one, well, it's probably not as it cuz it doesn't sound as great as the one you're talking about. Um they still have Fire in the Hole. I'm looking at the Silver Dollar City website.
Yeah, Fire in the Hole was like their big thing for like a long time. Like, it was on all their advertisements and everything. I think I remember when it came out. If it wasn't their first, I don't know if it was their first one or not. I just remember as a little kid, I always saw that roller coaster. Like, I rode it, and like again, they had like scarier stuff, so I was like, this is all right.
Yeah. Ooh, they also have my other favorite thing that they had there, the flooded mine. It's one of those shooting rides that you shoot at little targets and scenes as you ride by on like a raft.
Oh yeah. Oh, I think I remember
I
one like
loved
that. I
that
just don't
one
remember anything
because
about it.
it was a lot more. They used to have one. Well, they had a cool. They had a Scooby Doo themed one of those at the Six Flags, St. Louis, where I live, but and it was awesome. And they had it for such a long time, and I loved it. And then they replaced it with a really crappy Justice League 4D ride where they're like, oh, it's like you wear these 3D glasses and you're shooting things on a screen as you ride through. And it's like
And
it
that's when
feels
they
cheap.
fucked it up.
It feels cheap. And it barely works. Like it's down almost all the time with some technical issue. But Scooby Doo was great.
Yeah.
Like it was all physical moving animatronics and like different like a bunch of different targets with different actions that would like cause physical stuff. Like there was even one where you shot like a flower and it would squirt water at your boat. And I loved it, and I feel like they got rid of it because it probably cost a lot to keep up and maintain. But this flooded mine was like so is like it was so great. It's like a bunch of prisoners escaping, like because they're like working in the mines as prisoners, and then like the whole like the story of the ride is they're escaping their shackles and trying to get out of there, and then there's like a big water firefight at the end.
Sorry. My internet's playing games right now.
I I think I like so I would say I like Silver Dollar City a lot more than Six Flags St. Louis, but I'm not saying Six Flags St. Louis is bad. I love it. It's a great park, but I think because I don't get to go to Silver Dollar City nearly as much, like you if you get a lot of something but not a lot of another thing, and you like both of them, the thing you get less often you're gonna feel like you like more because it's more of a
Yeah.
treat. Like we get season passes to Six Flags every year as a gift from my grandma.
So it's less special.
Right. So like it's a thing I could go out and do anytime. But Silver Dollar City is like it involves like planning a trip, like a multiple day trip to like go down there, get a hotel room, and it and but one thing I think, even if I was able to go more often, I think I would still say I like it more because it's a theme. Like it's a theme park that's actually a theme park, unlike a bunch of rides with like kind of a sign slapped over the ride line and some colors relating to a theme. Like it's actually themed. Like all the rides have decorations throughout the ride, and uh like some of them even have stories going on throughout the ride. And I loved that. It's the only park I've ever been to that's like it sticks to theming. Uh and I think that adds so much to the experience at an amusement park is theming. Uh
Just wait
it's
until you go to
yeah. I've always wanted to go Disney for that reason.
yeah, I was about to say, just wait till you go to Disney. Like Those guys are absolutely insane with some of the ride. Like, I mean, of course, they got the roller coasters and they got the teacups and all that stuff that everybody just. I mean, you have to ride if you're there, but you got a lot of experimental rides that they're just like, what if we did it this way? And then they did it that way, and now it's a ride and it's amazing. Like, there's a lot of them like that, and themes. Oh my god, go to the safari or whatever part of. I guess the Safari King or Animal Kingdom. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Part of Disney World, and that's a fun experience.
And I've watched so much stuff on Disney World, like the behind the scenes stuff and like how it was designed and everything, and just the attention to detail that was put into every inch of that park. Like,
Hmm.
to make you feel like you have gone into like a new world, and everything, and just like clever designs, like they make sure that all the, like, they don't want anything to feel like you're being trapped in something. So like there aren't really like walls around the border, so like you would see it, but there are perfectly shaped and sized like shrubbery and stuff, so that like you can't see over it. So you can't see like the highway or anything on the other side, but it's not like it doesn't feel like as restricting as like a big brick wall would feel. And they also, and like they keep everything, like they keep each area separate through like uh so like uh you can't you can't really hear the noises of a different section of Disney World from
Hmm.
another section. So like you're never hearing like a cross between like Epcot and the Animal Kingdom.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
it's
and
so crazy.
it's uh it's also a marvel of engineering too, because like not even just the rides, but like if you notice, if you ever go to Walt Disney World, you'll find that there's like little to no people walking around who aren't themed. Like the vendors, like if they're there, they're behind a counter somewhere. There's a lot of mascots walking around and everything. And on top of that, like again, you don't see that many maintenance people out or something like that, because they literally have this underground tunnel.
Oh
It's like a
yeah,
spider
I
web
know
of
about the
tunnels.
tunnels.
Yeah, and that's how they get around. That way, like it doesn't, ruin the vibe of the park. And
Yeah, they're
also, I heard if you work there, you actually get your check from Mickey Mouse. Like if you get your paper checks, you is actually one of the mascots who hand out the the paychecks for the week or 2 weeks or whatever.
nice. Yeah, there's actually an entire series, uh book series written about that kind of like is written about all the like the behind the scenes stuff, but it's like a fictional series, like a fantasy, but like uh the underground tunnels is like one of the main locations. It's called the Kingdom Keepers.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, the whole, it like everything about that park, like all Disney parks, but specifically Walt Disney World, is it was just so advanced when it was created, and it's still very advanced to this day. And
Oh,
it was
you,
supposed to
you
be its own community
know,
when he designed it.
seriously, you can't compare Walt Disneyland to Walt Disney World. Like Walt Disneyland, from what I've heard, is nice, and what I've seen is nice,
I
but it
Yeah.
like Walt Disney World just has a much bigger budget, and it's the home of a lot of animation creating. Like the rides are actually built there and everything. Like created
Right.
everything there.
Right. And
Not to
it's
mention all the
because
money's there.
it's like they had more land to work with there instead of
Mm-hmm.
squeezing in like they did with Disneyland in California. They had far more space with Walt Disney World. But it
Yep.
was supposed to be its own like independent community. Like he got the
Disney World's
league.
actually built on a swamp.
Uh, yeah, Walt actually like he was setting up like the legal proceedings like to make it a self-governing like township.
Yeah.
Like they'd have their own police force. They'd have their own everything. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
Epcot was going to be, an actual community where actual people lived.
Yep. I mean, Epcot might still be that eventually. I mean, they already own most of the media and everything else, so just
All
give it
right.
time.
Right, but they had plans for like an actual nuclear power plant. It
Damn.
it was
Just
nuts.
saw it on my little thing. I saw how many times I disconnected and then reconnected. The little chat thingy.
Yeah. Let's see. So we've been going for about an hour and 40 minutes.
2 hours. Damn. Well, it probably would have been 2 hours if somebody would have started recording earlier, but I'm not going to point any fingers.
Ah, that's me, guys. That's me.
Mm.
Um, but I think this will be good for this episode.
Okay. Yeah. We need some music to spice it up. Spice up the intro and the outro. A little jingle or some shit.
Yeah, maybe I should just
One of
download
those
some Nintendo music.
heck, you could probably hire somebody to make a little bite, like like a little tune for your intro and your outro. Like what,
Yeah.
maybe like $80 or something. You could get them to make the intro and then just put it in reverse and make the outro. Actually, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So, thank you everybody for listening.
Still going?
Yes. I like
No, I just
messing. um if you like this, be sure to
wanted to be really
subscribe
dramatic.
for next time. And ring the bell so you'll know when we go live. And other than that, thank you for listening.
If you like it, subscribe and hit the like button and ring the bell and drink some water because water is good for you and you need it. Then like it again. Like the video again. I don't know if you can, but try.
And then
Work
like it a
very hard.
third time because hitting the like button a
No, not
second
a third
time.
time. That's too many likes.
But if you
It's
hit the like button
is
twice, it undoes your first like.
that's thrice too many likes. All right? Too many likes for one person. It's too much to hold. Too much power
It's
to
gonna
wield.
inflate my ego.
No. His ego doesn't need to be inflated anymore.
Ah.